Here's another instance of semi-political violence, and I'm saying semi-political violence because it's kind of hard to exactly pin down this case. See, there were these two New Jersey teen girls that were ran down by a Jeep. This 17-year-old Cranford high school student, these 17-year-old Stanford high school students were ran down in a black Jeep by a stalker who had been stalking them for quite some time. Apparently, according to one of their friends, they had actually made complaints about this 17-year-old boy from Garwood multiple times, who was from a small borough next to Cranford. And they did not take those threats seriously, it seems. Here is a comment from their friend, Tammy Carbajal. She made complaints and nothing was done. It's just a tragedy. It's just a tragedy. A neighbor told Fox 5 that the killer parked outside the girl's house for 3 months leading up to the alleged murder. Now, they did try to do restraining orders. One was taken out against them, but ultimately they ran the two girls over with their Jeep, being absolutely, I guess, just dominated by thoughts of them as a stalker. And there was a message he put out right before on a live stream. He had a baseball live streaming channel. Weird to think about that. He had a baseball live streaming channel. And he put out a little message on a multiple hour live stream about what they would feel like once he did what he did.
I gotta get drop P5 tonight.
Hey, whenever Maria sees the pizza guy come, better think of Charlie Kirk for making fun of his fucking death. Stupid ass clown.
What?
Just remember that.
Okay. So this seems like somebody who was quite upset about the passing of Charlie Kirk, quite upset about what these two young girls said about Charlie Kirk's passing. Again, these are minors. Whether what they said was gross or not, they're not even adults. And so, I mean, young people can say crazy stuff. It's not an excuse, but it certainly isn't a open call for all mercenaries to hunt them down because they said something mean about your favorite podcaster. Anyway, he says this and he goes out and kills them. Now, the reason I said this was partially politically motivated is that before he made these comments and before Charlie Kirk's assassination, he had already been stalking them for months. So this is somebody who is probably clearly mentally unwell in some way, was already engaging in what we would say would be dangerous behavior, stalking young underage girls before parking outside their home, stalking them all hours of the day. And then after Charlie's killed, one of these young girls, because he's stalking them, of course, hears that one of them maybe made a joke or a comment or a snide remark about Charlie's passing. She becomes enraged, comments about it on his stream, and then takes their life. Now, whether or not what was the straw that broke the camel's back was what they said about Charlie or not, at this stage, we do not know. He is in custody. They do have a mugshot of the guy. His eyes look soulless. He doesn't look like there's a single tinge of remorse in his entire body. This is a dangerous man that should be locked away from the rest of society. As long as they are a dangerous man, and I don't see anywhere in the near future where they won't be a dangerous man. So that is to say that it seems that the building blocks for a crisis were probably already in this man's head. Somebody who was mentally unwell, somebody who was already engaging in reckless, dangerous, and socially disgusting behavior when stalking these young girls. And then, whether he was politically inclined or not, he grabbed onto that Charlie Kirk situation, grabbed onto the comments that they may or may not have even made. Again, we're taking this crazy person's word.
Damn, has this been covered by mainstream media?
No. This hasn't really been covered by mainstream media. Thank you for the $10 from the very reputable long balls, Mr. Long Balls. Appreciate the $10. I haven't seen this covered much by mainstream media, and it might be because of the same problem that I'm running into here, which is trying to figure out what exactly motivated him. Because it's clear that this was somebody who was already infatuated with these young girls. And so it could be that this was and this is what I suspect. Of course, I cannot jump to any conclusion here and say that I know this for sure. This is all preliminary. This is to a certain extent speculation. But this is somebody who's clearly mentally unwell, who clearly was already infatuated with these young girls, and then once finding some reason to further dislike them on politics, went and killed them. So I would say that odds are that it could be a contributing factor, but this is somebody who was already probably so far gone that if you waited a few more months and she said something, either another thing that was political or maybe something non-political that he read as political, or she specifically made a comment about his stalker publicly, said he was a creep or something, that there could have been any other number of events. We can't know this for sure, of course, but there's a possibility that there could have been any other number of events that could have triggered this psycho to go out and kill these young girls. So I think that some of the press might be holding back on the idea that we don't really exactly know all of the motivations, and this is somebody who seems absolutely crazy. But on the other hand, I mean, a lot of these shooters are crazy. A lot of these shooters are unwell. And that's also why a lot of these shootings end up like a mess. Like, for example, that anti-ICE shooting that did nothing but kill detained people and wounded others. Or that church shooting. Or that recent school shooting where that young kid got radicalized online in this type of nihilistic neo-Nazism, shot two other students, and killed himself. Like, these are people who all have mental instability in their life that is quite extreme. And so it could be that when we're in such a politically partisan environment and our language is getting more and more extreme, and we're seeing a general increase in political tensions already, people who are already mentally unwell, seeing this giant stage where these types of assassinations, back in the day, back in 2015, 2016, when somebody went and did a school shooting, there was a policy that you didn't say their name. You didn't say their name. You didn't show their face. Some of you guys might remember it. I was in school during these school shootings, and so I paid a little bit of attention, duck and dive, had to be ready. But they didn't say the name. They didn't say, if you were curious, you had to go and you had to do a little bit of digging. Today, no. You show the name, you show the name everywhere, you show the face everywhere. You show not only the face from a mugshot, you show old pictures from their childhood. You show old pictures of them from being in high school. You show recent photographs of them. If you have any footage of them, you show footage of them. If they have a manifesto, you talk about what's in the manifesto. Hell, you might even read the manifesto. Now, I'm not saying that you don't go into a manifesto, figure out what the motivations are. I'm not even saying you don't necessarily show their face and their name as a reporter. I don't ultimately think that's what's causing it. Even if the attention-seeking behavior of these egomaniacal bastards and monsters might be one of the motivations, I don't ultimately think that is going to be the thing that stops it. If it was, then it would have when that was the general policy and social standard. What I am saying is that right now we are more online and this information is more available than it has ever been for anyone to access. And when Charlie was shot in the neck, everyone saw it. I don't know many people who have not seen Charlie Kirk die. That's weird, right? Do you guys know anybody? Think about this off the top of your head. Do the majority of the people you know, have they seen the uncensored version of Charlie Kirk's death? If that number is even anywhere close to 50%, that's pretty concerning. For me, it's like 80, just because of the type of business that I work in. And of course, I think a lot of the war journos, maybe they've seen a little bit worse. And so there's some people in chat saying, I haven't seen it, or I know one person who tried hard to avoid it. But the people who didn't see it, mind you, it's not because they couldn't find it. It's not because it was not readily available. As Ellsworm just pointed out in site chat, the best chat, DylanBurns.tv, type it in your search bar. The people who didn't were people who had to go out of their way not to. Before, it was you went out of your way to find the name. You went out of your way to find pictures. You went out of your way to see if you could find the manifesto. And a lot of times, republications of the manifesto on YouTube or other social media platforms would be removed as a matter of policy. Now, you have to go out of your way to not see the video. You have to go out of your way to not see the footage of the actual killing, not seeing the face, not seeing the identity, not hearing the name. That's a lost cause. That's done and over with. And all of the changes in how we cover these mass tragedies have roughly happened over a decade. I mean, this is a very short time for a society to go through this type of information transformation. I mean, the type of policies that somebody would be getting drilled on 10 years ago to how to deal with shootings, 10 years later, that information is basically worthless. It's basically worthless in the media sphere. And so in that environment where you can see, where you cannot not see how prevalent this type of footage is and how easy it can get shared around everywhere from what Tyler Robinson had done, if you're motivated by attention-seeking, unwell behavior, and definitely if you're a political extremist, you put these two things together, and this is a bad environment. And this is the exact environment we have that could charge up these people like a crisis in waiting, a disaster in waiting, a tragedy waiting to be born. You know, one type of, I don't think gun control is like the end all be all solution as sometimes people classify it as. But if there's one piece of gun control legislation that might make sense in this era, it is some version of the red flag law. Okay. I'm tired